Hey, Savvies. I hope that you are having a fabulous night. Welcome to my office. Yes, I have a special guest with me. I'll introduce him in just a second. I know that lots of you are bundled up and snuggling inside. Let us know in the comments that you can hear and see us okay, and let us know where you're joining from. I know that this is not a typical time that we go live, but we wanted to be able to just kind of do a nightcap with you and chit chat about the Savvy system. I have the most cynical person that I know joining me.
What a great introduction.
No, right? You're welcome. Joining me tonight. And we're going to talk about all of those objections that you may hear from a spouse or a partner, maybe a friend, as you're kind of talking about this idea of becoming a virtual assistant. So, so excited to be here. Cheers, my friend.
Oh, yes. Hold
my
on.
husband. He's more than a friend. He's my husband, y'all. Cheers. Hope that you guys are enjoying whatever it is that you like to enjoy in your glass or your mug. Let us know where you're watching from. Okay, first things first, who are we? My name is Rachel Dorsey. I am the Senior Director of Product here at the Virtual Savvy. I have been with the Virtual Savvy team for 3 years. I'm into my 4th year, and I joined in October of 2018 as the executive assistant when we were a much smaller team, and I've held several positions inside of the company since then, and now I am in charge of our product department, and I lead our amazing group of customer service girls and my directors and my specialists. I absolutely love my job. Okay, we have people from Texas. Jennifer, I don't know about you, but we just got the call tonight that school is canceled for tomorrow and Friday.
Just in case. Just to be safe.
We moved from Chicago to Texas in December of 2 years ago, and we thought we were leaving the winter of Chicago, and that is by no means the case. So,
well, winter has a different definition down here. So
true.
They close down for the drizzle and for the wintry mix. I know a lot of the world out there, you guys got a foot or more. So that would not work out in Texas very well. They would shut the power off and we'd be done.
So speaking of, it's actually like something outside. We can hear it hitting the window. So if the power grid goes out, please give us
some grace. We'll get back on as quickly as possible.
All the grace. Hey, Angela from Missouri. Scott from Canada. Hey, Scott, good to see you. Hope from North Carolina. Marty from Mississippi. Super excited to have you here. Okay, so that's a little bit about who I am here at the Virtual Savvy. This handsome gentleman sitting next to me is my wonderful, amazing, fabulous, great,
keep going. I like this. Keep going.
Very cynical husband. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. It is a pleasure to meet you. So I am not an employee. Okay. So if I say anything that's not exactly right, don't hold it against me. I'm doing my best here. But Rachel and I have been married for 16 years, and she started this journey, as she said, 3 years ago. And we just want to share my experience as being on the other end and kind of talk with you about, some of the things that I learned. How did I change? What changes did I see in Rachel as she started this progress and this journey, and kind of all the events that led up to us making this decision a while ago. So, just a conversation. The more that you guys can chat with us, we see what you're putting in there. If you guys have questions that come up as we're going, if you want me to stop and dig in on a point, let me know, and I'd be more than glad to do that. But I'm excited to be here. I don't feel like I have any pressure at all. This is all about you. I'm just here to talk. It's like a big conversation. Like, how's everybody doing out there? I'm excited.
He's not your average Joe. He's very special. We love him here at TVS, and so super excited to have him here. Okay, I had some questions that came through that I'm going to get to in a little bit, but I wanted to kind of share, first of all, my story, our story, in looking at me starting this business. When did it start? How did it start? All those things. But be thinking of questions. I know that not every spouse, partner, friend, family member, you plug it in, is always going to be 100% on board. there's going to be some skepticism. There's going to be some questions that they're going to have about this, you starting a business, you purchasing an online course, whatever those concerns are. So be thinking about questions, be thinking about your situation, and how we can help and support and kind of talk through some of those objections and some of those concerns. Okay, so it was 2017. We had 2 littles at the time, and I was just a stay-at-home mom. And I was trying to find things to do from home, right? This story we hear all the time. Jumped on Google, trying to find something to do from home. I know that I searched legit work from home jobs, right? Because scams all over. And I dabbled in a few things. I graded SAT essays.
She did grade essays.
Yes, it was.
It was the weirdest job. She
awful.
would just be on the couch reading essays and
for people's like livelihood, their SATs. Anyway, that was not for me. I did not love it. Did a couple other odd jobs here and there. And then I had this brilliant idea that I was going to start a blog. Right? Like
that was where it all became. Yeah.
I was going to start a blog and I was going to, talk about being a mom, do the thing. Right. So I had a conversation with a friend and she has a very involved blog and was making money off of it. And so I sat down with her, asked her a couple questions, and then she kind of told me everything that was involved with having a blog. And I thought, no, that's not at all what I want to do. And so she did say to me, have you ever thought of maybe like supporting bloggers and being a virtual assistant? And I thought, virtual assistant, that's a new term. I don't know what that means. And so thus began the mad dash to Google and Pinterest, pinning all of the pins, finding all the articles, reading all the information. And I stumbled upon Abby at the Virtual Savvy. Making a long story short, ended up purchasing the Savvy System in 2017 and started my own business. Now, I will say there were many conversations had in prepping and preparing to make this purchase. And we'll talk about that in just a second, but jumped in and built my business. And Joe was extremely supportive. I was very fortunate to have a supportive husband. But I will say, leading up to that, there were lots of questions and conversations.
I would say it was supportive, but it wasn't easy.
Ooh.
Would that be a good way to kind of put it?
I would agree.
Like I would support you, but I'd be like, now what are you doing again? And how are you going to do that? And what are you going to do when this happens?
Yes. Joe is very much about asking the questions. Okay. So when I came to you, Joe, like asking or telling you about the amazing Abby Ashley and the Savvy System, like what were some of your initial thoughts?
Well, let's kind of replay where we were at in our life at that point in time as well. So I was working retail. I had a very wild schedule. I was all over the place and I did a ton of traveling, right? So it was, what were the other paths you kind of did? You mentioned the grading the essays and looking for something that you could do to still be able to support the family, right? Yeah. It's really hard to find like a part-time from 2 to 4 during nap time because you can't really do anything during nap time because you got to stay with kids, right? So I was like, all right, what are some of the other options? So you kind of brought up this. So it immediately checked a box for me as your spouse being like, can you still do the duties of what you're doing currently? And what does that really look like? How does that go together? And I have been in corporate type America for a long time. So I'd always been kind of 8 to 5 type, punch in, punch out. And although in retail, it's 1 to 10 or 1 to midnight, or, hey, we're going to be open from midnight till the next day. Crazy so hours. All these crazy things. So it had to be something that you could figure out how to fit in with the scheduling. I think that was probably one of the biggest questions that I had was, how does this fit in with what we need to do and all the things about life that we need to maintain as we go through. So that was probably my first thing. And
like, I wanted to find something that I could do, but that didn't like completely consume me at the moment, right? Because we had 2 littles. I think our oldest was 4 and the younger one was 2 at the time. And so they were consuming my days, right? But I really had this deep inner desire to do something, right? Thus started the searching for the work from home and grading the essays and working for other, small companies online. But like I wanted to find something that I could do and that I could create that gave me an identity in essence. And I didn't really plan to make it a full-time gig. Like I think I told him, like, I just wanted to pay for my son's preschool, because that was an added expense. Like, that wasn't necessarily built into our one income budget. And I wanted to go to the gym. Like, I wanted to have mommy time at the gym. And so again, that was an added expense. And so I had to find something where I could at least make that much money to bring that cushion into the income, as well as give me something that was mine, that wasn't attached to being mommy. Like, I love being mommy, and I love that identity, right? But I wanted something that was all mine. So looking at that investment and can I do it? I didn't plan on it filling my time, but he was definitely concerned with, okay, what does this look like as far as your schedule? What were some of the other concerns?
I wanted you to find something that you like enjoyed doing, because this other things and the other noise that you were kind of trying and giving it a shot at, it did make you happy. Like, you weren't looking forward to clocking in and doing the thing. Yeah. So I was really excited that you were excited, that you were telling me, oh, hey, there's this thing out there. Didn't even know it existed 10 minutes ago, but let me tell you about it. And I really liked that she kind of dove in and she got excited about it. And that excitement was infectious. I liked that. So I was still had a lot of questions in my mind, but if you were excited about it, I was like, I want to be excited about this too. How can I get there? And those were the conversations that we had.
Well, you say that you had lots of questions. Like, what were some of those questions that came up for you? Well, this is great for me because I'm learning too, y'all. Keep going.
So, like, what is it? How do you explain it to somebody? Like, what's the 60-second soundbite on a VA? What are you going to do? And realizing you had a skill set that you had to put on hold to be mommy for a while. And you hadn't really got to tap into that for a little bit. So now the kids were getting a little bit older and a little bit of independency, and you had some free time. Not free as in you could go do anything at any time. Yeah. But where you could kind of dial in and spend some time on it. So I wanted you to be able to use that time to do what you wanted to do. And I think the best thing about the system is you were saying, you know, I've already got an idea of what I want to do. I just need these tools. I need some way to kind of like figure it all out and put it all together.
That was one of the huge selling points for me and purchasing the Savvy system. I was skeptical, and can I even put the label on myself, cynical, about the Savvy system, because I'd never purchased anything online like that before. Like, I had never purchased an online course. I was very leery of making online purchases, things like that. And so I was really kind of worried about what that would look like and how that would play out and if I was being scammed. But I really wanted something that would lay the foundation for me and would be a blueprint in that step-by-step process, because I'd never done anything online before. I did have a skill set. Previously, I was a teacher. I taught kindergarten for several years. I worked with littles that had developmental delays. And so I had a skill set, absolutely, but not in the online space. But I wanted something that would lay out the foundation. And that was one of the things that I told him. I said, babe, like, this will help me actually get it set up and actually do it so that I'm not fumbling around and I'm not piecemealing information here and there, because that's what I was doing before when I was Googling, right? Like, here's a piece of information. Here's a piece of information. Here's what I can do. Oh, I need this, right? And then it just becomes a stock pot, right, of all this information that I can't clearly organize and figure out. And the Savvy system was quite the opposite. It was clearly laid out step by step on how to put together my own business. And that was a huge selling point for you. What about the purchase, like making that purchase?
Yeah, Did you have any questions? It was an investment. I mean, looking at our budgets on a single income at the time, and rent and bills and littles and all the things coming up. Yeah. So I remember sitting down, and I think my question to you was, A, like, how is it worth it? Walk me through that, which you just kind of talked about. B is kind of like, does this save you time? And I thought that was really good. Like, I was like, does this save you time? And you said, absolutely. Because right now I'm going here, I'm going there. I'm trying to piece all this information together and trying to create the wheel of how this works, where somebody already did that. And you can just learn from that and pull from it, and you can accelerate a lot quicker. That was important for me. Those are some of the big things that really stood out to me.
What were you like most excited about at the potential of me purchasing the Savvy system and starting my own business?
Well, I loved the little goal. Like, you literally were like, it would pay for A, B, and C. And if it can do that and it doesn't interfere with what all the other things that I have to do day to day, I was like, well, that'd be really cool. Like even that, just a little bit of wiggle room or being able to add some things to our lifestyle. Like, yeah, I'm good with that. I think that could work out really well. So I got excited about that. But eventually what made me excited was how excited you got. And when you would come with me, come to me.
That's sweet.
You would come to
so
me and
fabulous.
you would share like, oh, I learned how to do this. And I learned how to do that. And I learned how to put this. And I've been struggling with this and trying to figure out. And the answer is right here.
Yeah.
So once you got rolling into the system, I felt like you had the support that you needed because I felt like you already had a skill set. You were already an expert and you just need to be discovered. Somebody need to open that door for you. And that's what the system was doing for you.
Oh, that's so good. Any other questions that come to mind as you were thinking through the process of making this decision with me? Things that you wanted to know or you weren't sure about?
Well, I wanted to know what do you think it's going to look like at the beginning? We didn't know. Like
no clue.
No idea. Like, are you still going to be able to do all the things you're going to need to do? What type of sacrifices do you need for me to make it happen? Yeah. Like, need a little bit of a financial support in that? Okay, great. What about a time support? Okay, what does that look like? You were very adamant, like nap time is work time. I'm going to do it that way. Yeah. I said, can you get it all done in that? And at first you're like, yes. And then as you continued to grow, things started to grow outside of that. So it was just regular communication between you and I being like, hey, tonight I've got about an hour's left of things that I need to do to get checked off for the day. And can you support with bedtime? Yeah, I can do that.
I think establishing that communication between the two of us at the very beginning was huge because you're right, like nap time and right after bedtime were my ideal work times. Like that's when I could really like get to work and check things off of my list. And so communicating that, right? Because after the kids go to bed, that's nightcap time, right? Like that's unwind, spend time together time. But as I was building that business and I was figuring things out, sometimes I had to have things I needed to get done. And so communicating that and letting him know like, hey, babe, I need just about 45 minutes. I need just about an hour. And just clearly laying out the expectations ahead of time so that he was fully aware. And I think that we've even carried that practice over into now, even with responsibilities that I have. Like maybe I have something like, hey, babe, we're going live at 8:30. Ready? We got 5 minutes, right? No, it didn't look like that at all.
She gave me a little bit more lead time.
A little bit more lead time. But we came into the office and we were, chit-chatting. He's like, okay, now, where am I going to sit? And he's like, should I sit back there in the chair? I was like, no, you got to sit up here with me. But all that to say, like, communicating and laying down that clear foundation and understanding with your partner or your spouse and what that looks like was super helpful from the very beginning and has carried over for sure. Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. And partners love to be asked as versus told.
Ooh, talk more. What does that mean?
Yeah. So if you ask me like, hey, can you support me with this? Can you help me do this? Can you take care of that for me? As opposed to like, I've got to do all these things and I'm flustered. I can't do it all. You have to do this for me. Just so like that communication role, that was really important because as you were building and the stresses of my day to day and that communication and that relationship just had to be on good terms and really talk about what was going on. Because I wanted you to succeed just as much as you wanted me to succeed in what I was doing at the time.
Yeah, that's good. Hey guys, I see more people jumping on. Welcome. We're just chatting about SavvySystem. Oh, by the way, in fact, let me put this up super quick. Don't forget, SavvySystem is open, y'all. We open the SavvySystem 2 times a year. Doors are open until this Friday. Today's what? What is today? Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Thank you for being here. Today is Wednesday. The doors officially close Friday night at 10 p.m. Central, and they won't open again until July of this year. So if you've been thinking about it, talk to your spouse, talk to your partner, have those conversations. And if it's the right fit for you, like we totally would love to have you in. But have those conversations and talk through if this is a good fit for you and your family and your rhythms, your finances, all of those things. Don't hesitate and don't neglect those important conversations. Okay, let's circle back to money.
Okay.
Money is often a huge objection. ROI, return on investment, like me investing. I did the payment plan, y'all. I couldn't fork up. We didn't have it in our budget to be able to do the pay in full. So I did the payment plan, but return on investment, was that a concern for you? Like, was that something that you processed? Did we talk
I
through
think
that?
we had a conversation about it. We said, okay, if you did this, how long do you think it would take for you to get to a point where you could pay that off and start to create income, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew when you're starting off anything, it's a small snowball, right?
Yeah.
It's got to go down the hill a little ways
Yeah.
before it gets bigger. So, we threw out goals to each other.
Yeah.
I remember us saying, okay, it needs to look like this. This is what we need to push for. And we made the goals attainable but challenging.
Yeah.
Okay. Every time it was a little bit of an increment. So Rachel really likes goals, everybody. Like, she's a checklist kind of girl. If she gets to mark it off the checklist, she gets really excited.
Sometimes I will add something. Please tell me I'm not the only one. I will add something to the checklist just for the gratification of crossing it off. Tell me I'm not the only one, please, y'all.
Yeah, somebody needs to support her, because I'm not like that. I'm I'm not writing that down. It's over. I moved on. But that is how she is. Yeah. So we made a checklist. We had the communication. It's okay. This is what we're looking for. And it wasn't like overnight success. It was the snowball effect. A little bit here, conversation led to this conversation, led to this contact. And it took a little bit, but it wasn't too long before you had something that was like, all right, this makes sense. This feels good. Let's go with this. I've got this skill set. You've been going through the system. You said, I really am comfortable in this. And that's what I'm going to focus my marketing on. And I'm going to try to be this person for somebody else. And I appreciated that, because you can't be all things to all people. So figure out what do you like the best? What are you the best at? And focus in on that. And then use the system to make sure you refine your skills.
Yeah, the goals were huge for us. And the 30-day money back guarantee, y'all, like, that was huge for us in looking at this investment, because it was my first online course purchase. I'd never in my life had considered or been so drawn towards something before, but I knew that if it didn't fit, or if I didn't like it, or if it just wasn't jiving with my rhythm or whatever, that I could get my money back even on the payment plan, and it would be totally fine. So that 30-day money back guarantee was huge. But after the first 30 days, there was no turning back. Like, I totally fell in love with what I was learning inside the Savvy system. And that gut feeling that I talked to about earlier, it was totally fulfilled. Like, this is me. This is something that I can totally do. And I'm freaking good at it, right? I love building relationships and networking. And so right from the get-go, like, I was meeting people and chatting with people in my own circle and online. And because of those conversations, because of me just chatting about my business, that's how I was able to build a network. And I was able to return the money into the course, the cost of the course, within 3 months. I chose not to pay off my account. I chose to continue those payments because that worked best inside of our cash flow and inside of our finances. But I had fully replaced the cost of the course by that time, within 3 months. And that felt good. Like,
yeah, I can remember a time
really
a little bit like halfway through, probably 6 months to 8 months. I can remember you telling me about a client and what they were looking for from you, and you checked like 8 out of 10 boxes. And I don't think you would have signed with them. You would have continued on if you didn't feel like you had the support in the system to kind of go, I got most of it. I'm a little fuzzy on this, but I'm going to step out on a limb. I think I can do that for you. And watching you get excited about learning the 9th and 10th checkpoint of what you needed to do, I got excited about that for you too.
I love it. Okay. I know that y'all may have some questions, so please feel free to drop those in the comments. We want to answer your questions. Like, what are those objections that you're hearing in the conversations that you're having? Telling friends or your spouse or your partner, or maybe they're just objections that you have and that you're walking through yourselves. Let us know in the comments. We would totally love to walk through those with you and answer those questions. I did have a couple questions, Joe, if you're game.
Yeah,
like I did have some couple that came through on the event before we started, so I wanted to address those. And Liz says, I'm going to pull this up.
I like this one.
It didn't take too much convincing with my hubs. He's very supportive and encouraged me to take the plunge. Said we'd figure out expensing even if he needs to work more. And that feels so good, right, Liz? Like having that partner, that spouse that's totally on your team makes this journey so much more fun too. But there are some that don't have that encouragement. They have those cynical husbands or spouses, partners that have those questions and those objections. So celebrating with you, Liz. I love that. Okay. One of the questions that came through from Fiona, how can a partner be supportive if you are already experiencing financial hardships and you're just starting out? So how can that partner be supportive?
So I break it down into a couple of different categories. So anytime somebody this is my philosophy of use here. Sorry, I'm going to dive into that a little bit.
Oh, we broke open the philosophy.
I know,
Joe.
Yeah, the philosophy, Joe. So really, people come to you, they usually have, one of three ways that they're trying to shoot something down. It's usually I can't, I won't, or I don't know how. And I would really kind of break those down a little bit further. I can't is usually like, I don't believe in it. I'm not there with you. I won't is behavioral. Like there's an issue. They're just unwilling. You've got to win them over. Or I don't know how. They have more questions. They need more input. Yeah. So kind of taking a look at that question when it comes down to finances, like it's a journey and life is but a struggle every which way. If you can't overcome that, if you can't really kind of wrap your head around how is that all going to fit together, I'll be honest, maybe right now isn't the time. Yeah. Maybe there's more conversations that need to be had before you make this decision. I would not recommend that one partner be on board and the other one completely against it and going forward. Yeah. That's not going to create for a happy home or strong friendship or however you want to word that. It's only going to breed contention. So I wouldn't recommend that. I would get professional about it. I'd schedule a meeting with the partner. I'd say, hey, on Thursday at 8:00, I got this thing I want to talk with you about. Are you available?
Should we mention what it is, or should we be vague?
Maybe even be vague. Just be like, I got something really important that I want to sit down and talk with you about.
Okay.
Put it on the schedule. It's that important, right? It's worth putting on the schedule. Don't do it on the car ride to the grocery store.
Should it be a Zoom meeting?
No. It needs to be more personal than that. But don't do it on the way, pick up the kids or the grocery store and think you're going to get it over in 10 minutes. It needs to be a real meeting. You need to be able to voice your excitement and voice why you want to do it and be willing to take the criticism and work through it together. Yeah. So that way you can figure out, is it I can't, I won't, or I don't know how. So I can't support you because I don't understand what's going on. I won't support you because there's something else going on in the relationship, or I don't know how. I need more clarifying questions answered. I need to see it. Take me on the journey with you. How does this help you out? So sit down, schedule the meeting, and really do talk about it. Have a drink, bake some cookies, whatever it is that you do to kind of set the mood, and have like your mini Shark Tank meeting and go through it. Be like, this is my proposal. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think about it? Give them an opportunity to ask questions. Yeah. Don't take it personal if they ask a question that's really difficult. Take it as an opportunity to say, okay, I need to think about that more. Maybe you don't have all the answers. Maybe there's a follow-up to the meeting. But you got to kind of put that all together, be able to kind of work through it.
That's good. That's good. Oh, and also here at TVS, the Virtual Savvy, it is never our goal or intention to create financial hardship for you. If it is a time where you would be going into debt and you're deciding whether you're going to pay the gas bill or purchase SavvySystem, it's not the time.
It's not the time.
We have a huge treasure trove of free resources available to you. We have free content and trainings that come out on a regular basis that you kind of feed that desire, right, until it's the right time for you to join. But we never want you to join if it's going to be a financial hardship for you. So take comfort in that. And know that we are here to support you where you are and how best it would be for you. Okay, next question. Heidi asks.
All right.
My husband's biggest concerns are self-employment taxes and legalities.
Ooh, I like that. Like he's on step 58. Like we haven't even started yet. You're worried about like everything at the end of the year. I love that though. That's great.
You would totally ask the same
I
question.
totally will. You're absolutely right. Like, what is this going to look like?
Joe, okay. What fun fact about Joe? Pause the question, Heidi. Hold on just a second. Joe is a huge fan of Lego. I got it right.
You did.
It's not Legos, y'all.
There's no S.
There's no S.
Lego is plural.
It's Lego. Okay. Joe is a huge fan of Lego, and some of like his instruction manuals are ridiculously thick.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience for it. I don't build Lego. It is not a passion of mine. But he will totally flip through the manual and look at step 58 before he's done with step 1.
Yeah,
right?
You're absolutely right. I want to see the juicy part. Just like reading the last page of the book, right? Sometimes you just want to, all right, what is going on? Oh, okay. I'm excited about this part. Okay, let me go back and let me work my way through it.
Okay, back to Heidi's question. Self-employment taxes and legalities.
All right, so I am not a CPA or tax advisor, and I don't play one on TV. So I'm going to start with that.
You would be a very handsome one.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. But you need to do a little bit of due diligence. Look it up. Take some time. Use the resources that are available to you. Look it up for your state, your county, your municipality, whatever it may be going on, and plan accordingly. You need to set some money aside monthly, quarterly, and get that taken care of. Like death and taxes don't go away. They're always happening. So you need to do some research. I'm not going to tell you what to do or not to do, other than you need to know there's something you ought to be doing. Okay. How about legality?
So, let me first, before I answer that, I want to give you a good resource. Score.org, SCORE.org is a really great website. I'll write it down. I'll put it up here. Score.org. So if you have any questions about your local state taxes, make sure you check on your state, county, city taxes. Make sure that you know what those are and educate yourselves. Inside the Savvy System, we have a whole section on taxes and legalities and the steps that you need to take to set yourself up for success. We don't want you to get to the end of your year and have this huge tax bill and have no preparation. We walk you through the steps and what you need to do, but make sure you educate yourself on what that looks like for your specific area, whether you live here in the US or you live outside, for sure. Thanks, Jackie. Jackie posted score.org in the comments. So that's a great free resource that you can check out. Another thing about legalities, inside of the Savvy System, we give access, you have access to our contracts for both your clients and subcontractors that you may hire later in the future. And they're written by our attorney, Danielle. She's absolutely fabulous. She's so much fabulous that we pay her on retainer to answer your questions. So when you're inside of the Savvy System and you have questions about the contract itself, you can reach out to Danielle and get those questions answered to help you make sure that the contract is nice and strong to protect you both. Both
parties. It's for both parties, right? Contract is an agreement between two parties. So it's not only them hiring you, but you agreeing to work for them. Yeah. So make sure you read through that and you have what you feel is important written down.
Yeah. And the key to both of those is educating yourself. Like, don't be afraid to learn more and don't be afraid to ask the questions. And if you don't know where to get information, there are trusted individuals to reach out to and ask for help. Okay.
I saw this one over here, Abby's YouTube. Oh, yeah, that's good. So there are awesome. Even more resources shared there.
Absolutely. Our YouTube channel, if you have not subscribed to it, is absolutely amazing. So many helpful videos and trainings, tips, tricks, ideas, all the things. Even if you are already inside the Savvy System, it's a great resource and helpful tool for you. Awesome. Okay. Tanya has a question. And if you guys have questions, like, we are here to help and support you and to answer those questions.
Plug them in.
We got about another 30 minutes that we can hang out with you, and we'd love to help and support. Okay, Tanya's question. This is for you.
Oh, okay.
What was your largest fear for Rachel when she was first starting? And then there's a second question, but we'll answer that next.
Okay, let's see. When you're first starting, was rejection. Like,
you were afraid that I was going to get rejected?
You were getting rejected.
Oh, I didn't know this.
You didn't know that? Yeah, because you're going out, you're looking for the work, you're the go-getter. Like, you definitely have that built into you. You wanted to make those connections. And I was afraid it was going to take a long time for you to get rolling.
Mm.
I'm glad that it didn't, but that was a bit of a fear of mine. It's like, how long is it going to take her to get into a groove and to kind of figure out how all those things work together? And I tried to support you being like, absolutely, go for it. Try it. If you can check 4 out of 5 boxes, then try it. Go for it. And within me, what grew in me is realizing that like the first client probably is not going to be the last client. Like they're going to change over time as you change over time, and kind of how that all fit together. So it's like taking the risk, like taking the step. If you wait until the 100% absolute perfect everything all the time, you're going to be waiting for a really long time. So how do you kind of get the ball rolling? How do you get things going? And I wanted to be excited with you. So when you're excited about the potential to partner with somebody to do something, but it didn't work out, I was like, oh, that's tough. I had to put on the happy face and be like, all right, you got him. You can go get him, girl. You got it. But inside I was like, oh, she's amazing. Why wouldn't you want to talk to her? Why wouldn't you hire this lady? She's the best. So,
and I'm going to answer that question too. What I was most afraid of was that it wasn't going to work out. Like that I was not going to get clients, that I wasted what little extra cushion in our budget that we had. And I really didn't want to fail. And that was what I was most afraid of. But I turned that fear into perseverance and dedication to not letting that happen.
Yeah.
Like use that drive to push me forward.
Yeah. You turn the stress of it into the pressure of it. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So stress is like, I love this example. I'm going to share with everybody. So there's a guy with a bow and an arrow, and across the room, there's a guy with an apple on his head. Okay.
We've seen this before.
The guy with the bow and arrow, he's got pressure. He's got to perform. He's got to hit the mark. The person sitting with the apple on their head, they just got stress in their life. Everything's just going to happen to them, and they've just got to hope for the best. So anytime we as a unit could turn it from stress into pressure and change our mindset, we're able to move forward a lot easier.
I never thought of it that way. That's good. Yeah, I think that was what I was most afraid of. But yeah, turning that fear into the pressure, not pressure in a negative sense, like pressure in a positive sense. And on the flip side of that, when I was successful, you better believe that I celebrated. Mm-hmm. And if you are inside of the Savvy System, shout out. Let me know if our Savvy System members are here watching today. Robert, I see you. I saw Suzanne. I saw a couple others up above. But one of the questions that we love to ask our students inside of the Savvy System is, how are you going to celebrate? Like that is so important for you to determine how you're going to celebrate after you have a win. And not every win is going to be huge. Like not every win is going to be all expense paid trip to fill in the blank, right? Like, no, that's a big celebration. And I hope that you get to do that. Sometimes the celebration is dance party in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Sometimes celebration is ordering pizza on the business, right? Like it could look a variety of different ways. But we want you to celebrate those incremental steps. Inside of the Savvy System, we've already built that in for you. Do you know that we give away free swag?
I didn't know this.
Yes. So inside of the Savvy System, there are opportunities for you to earn free virtual Savvy swag and prizes along the way, because we love celebrating and we want you to celebrate too. So when I was able to make those achievements, cross those things off of my list, mm-hmm. get that next client, whatever that looks like, we made sure to celebrate that. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when I got my first 4-figure client on retainer, that was a big deal. Like this is legit, Joe. I've paid for the entire family's gym membership at this time, right? Like not just mine, right? Come on, let's go. But I remember we went out to dinner to celebrate because that was huge. Like I had crossed a threshold and I was finding success inside of the Savvy System. So find those ways.
No, I can't remember that because you said VA's got it. I believed it because you were like, don't worry, VA's got it tonight. I remember something about that. I was like, okay,
I don't remember.
cool.
I don't remember. I remember where we were living at the time. I don't remember where we went out for dinner, but I remember making a big deal about it because it was legit. I had crossed over. We love celebrating our Savvies, and we want you to celebrate too. Okay. The second half of that question from Tanya. How did you feel it would affect your family? And you can look at it, we could look at it both ways, like the fear of it or even the success of it. What did you process through?
Well, I knew it was an investment of your efforts and your time and your energy, trying to figure out how that all fit together. And we've shared this multiple times. Like the first 6 months to a year, it was just different. Like we went from I have you completely to myself when I'm home from work. And like I said, I worked a varied schedule. So I was off on like Tuesday and Thursday, it was random.
Yeah.
So I went from being able to do that to where you had some commitments that you had to take care of during the week. And that's what the client needed. And that's how everything worked out. And I kind of was like, okay, got to figure out how that all fits together. How to manage your time. Like all of a sudden, you may have to do something at 8 o'clock, something caught fire and you're like, I've got to fix this, and figuring out like, okay, that's cool. I can do these other things. Again, you asked me, I've got something here. Can I do that? Or I remember we were on a vacation or driving somewhere, long trip. And all of a sudden you're just on the phone and went from you being like, just kind of like looking, doing your thing and talking to all of a sudden now the phone and the time in the car, and you were being like hyper productive. And I loved that, but it was a little bit like, okay, it's a little different. Like I got to get kind of used to that and how that all fits together. The alternative was not something that we could do at the time. It wasn't like you could go punch in somewhere, and I didn't want you driving an hour to work and back and messing with all the stuff like I had to do. Like I was happy about it, but I had to figure out how that all fit together.
And it was definitely an adjustment. So when we first started out, I was just doing like minimal work, like maybe 20 hours a month, like maximum. I was not working very much at all. Again, my goals were very small. This was not going to be a full-time income. But then as I got into it and I fell in love with it and I got that 4-figure client, right? Like things continue to grow and build. Then we had to address new fears and we had to address new concerns. Okay, this is no longer a hobby. This is legit a business, and mommy is working more. And what is that going to look like? And so we had to pivot and adapt as our family schedule was pivoting and adapting. And then we had to make the big decision. Okay, mommy really likes this. This is really working. I could make this a full-time thing. And so we had to talk through that and talk through those new fears and talk through those new concerns. And that's something that you're going to find, and I bet you even dealt with this in retail, like those cyclical patterns that you have as a business owner or inside of a business, right? So when we first started the Savvy System, here's where our fears and concerns were, got started, launched, got a few clients, made some assessments. Now I'm back at the top. I need to give more time to this if I'm going to make this legit. So now we have to start the cycle all over again. And so addressing those new fears and concerns and sitting down and scheduling those conversations and talking those things out were extremely important.
You grow as it grows. Like this, it's really good thing that you don't start off being a parent with like a teenager. Like you got to grow as they grow. You start out little, you grow, they grow. It's the same thing here. You're not jumping into the middle of it. You're building this up as time goes on. So as it gets better, you get better. And the challenges change. And what you may have thought was a challenge last year, this year is like, that's super easy. This is my new thing I got to focus on. So being able to kind of constantly have that moving target was really good for you. And I think it's good for everybody that you're constantly growing or changing or moving. And the other thing is like, it's work from home. And so many people hear the last word and forget the first word.
Oh, that's really good.
It's work from home.
That's really
you got to
good.
put in the work. So you've got to have the commitment to be able to do all the things that you need to do because you signed this agreement with somebody and you promised to help them out in exchange for monetary compensation. So you got to do the work. And when you do the work, celebrate. When you do the work and you get it done and you get more efficient, then more work can come your way. So.
Monetary compensation. Those are big fancy words for making money.
Making the money.
Oh, that's really, really good. I wanted to talk through like what did it look like for you to support me as I had questions? Like, did I ever come to you with questions that you didn't know or questions you weren't sure?
Yeah.
Okay. What did that look like?
Yeah. So I would try to learn with you. I can remember times you pulling up a like, I was like, I don't know. I don't even know where to look. And you'd be like, oh, what should I search under? And we could both jump on Google or try to figure something out and be like, oh, this is what the thing you need to have. And then go into the system and dial down. And I can remember hearing a lot of things I didn't understand kind of going on in the background, and kind of listening in and be like, oh, no, go back. He said it. He said it right there. He said it right there. What is that? Okay, write that down. And, in some ways I may know something more about a system than you have, but there was very few times that I was the expert in what needed to happen.
And hold on, that felt so good to me, y'all. Like if you know Joe, and I know many of you in the thread do, you know that Joe is a jack of many trades. He knows a lot of things about a lot of things. And so I will often come to him for advice or questions or fix this, please, all of those things, and still do. But now there are occasions, and there were in that process, where I could teach him things, which was absolutely and is still gratifying and fun.
I like it too. I like it. And the other thing I would think of, when you go to work, right, you get the benefit of being around people. Some of them you like and some of you don't, but you just get to be around people. Sometimes as a VA, you may be around your kids and the computer and the client. So I like that I could be like the coffee break Joe for you. Be like, hey, how was your day? How are things going? Just kind of like water cooler talk. So I appreciated that about it. That was not something that we had before. It seemed like conversations before were really just about the kids and how your day went and the things like that. So I liked being able to kind of talk about what's been going on. What did you learn? Where did you grow? And I think it strengthened our relationship, because then you would ask me about things at my work and kind of getting back into that world, and we could talk and converse back and forth about it. So.
Yeah. And I think too, when Joe couldn't support or couldn't ask questions, what I loved is the community aspect inside of SavvySystem. I mean, I have met longtime friends that I still connect with when I joined the SavvySystem in 2017. And having that community to jump into, I remember once very early, I still remember this because I also remember the team coming in and posting on my comment. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I posted, hey, who's burning the midnight oil, right? Like, I was staying up late and I was working, and there was a community that could totally understand because they were doing the same thing. That community of support is unmatched. And it's one of my favorite things that you get access to inside of the SavvySystem. And not only that, like, there's calls that we have inside of the SavvySystem. We have a call every single week. We call it Student Development Day. So the team jumps on and supports you in a variety of ways, where it's helping you get connected to other people, or it's a safe space to ask your questions, or it's a place to submit what you're working on and get some honest feedback, or just get some group coaching, right? Any of those are options that we have inside of our calls, which is absolutely cool that we have that kind of support. It's not just a course. Yeah. You literally are entering into a community, and dare I say, into a Savvy family, where we get to meet and connect and grow together. So those were some of the questions that came through earlier. We knocked those out.
We've got one over here.
Oh yes, let's jump this.
This is a fresh. Let's see.
Okay. This is more of a business question. Great question. Is it normal to feel bad about what you charge if the client just feels okay about the final project, as if they are not happy with it enough to pay what you're charging? What do you do? Okay. So I'm assuming that this is something fresh that you've dealt with, right? Where you have a set rate for your services, whatever those services are, and you've charged those services to complete this project from start to finish, and the client just isn't happy at the very end. I would have some honest conversations with that client and talk through, like, what are they not happy about? Is it anything that you can fix? Is there anything that you can correct? Is there anything that you can make better? And see if there's some type of additional support within realms, right, within reason, that you can give to help kind of smooth that over and make them feel better. Yes, it's going to sting a little. Like, let's not be honest. It never feels good, if we want to use those terms, when we don't succeed or we don't have raving reviews from our clients. That never feels good. But what you also need to check too is, did you show up and do your best? Is there any opportunity for you to grow further in what you're offering and the skills that you're learning? Is there something more that you need to learn? Is there some other way that you need to communicate better? Did you not get all the information while you were working on the project with the client? And look for those opportunities to grow, even in those opportunities of not really getting to the mark that maybe you expected or the client expected either. And through those conversations, some options of what you can do could possibly come up. Again, maybe something additional that you could do within reason, or if there needs to be some compensation back. Again, that's something, it's not always a blanket answer, but it's something to bring up and talk through. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. I would think it's not okay to feel good when the client's just, Yeah. I'm glad that you're having this angst, being like, I wanted to be excited about what I just put in and what I did and what I turned in. So I don't know. You should, if you don't feel good about the work you did, don't feel good about the work you did.
Yeah.
But there is a balance to that. Go back and kind of review your notes. What was the conversation we had at the beginning of the project? What were the expectations? What questions did I ask differently? Ask for the feedback. It's a gift if they're willing to give it to you. And if you can correct that issue, do your absolute best. With everybody and all this, I know Rachel has dealt with this. You're not going to make everybody happy all the time.
No, you're not. You cannot live up to that expectation. It's not reality.
So at the end of the day, you need to feel good about the product that you're putting out and the effort that you put in based on the information that you had. So it is a two-way street. I'm glad that if that's happened to you, I'm glad that you don't feel good about it. But at the same time, you got to say, okay, what can I do differently? How do I grow from this to make sure I'm not in this position again? Is it me? Is it the questions? Is it the answers? Did I not seek the information that I needed to kind of put it all together? So
yeah, and she mentions, right after, she hasn't started her business yet, but just kind of thinking ahead. That's really, really good proactive thinking. Whenever you're walking into a project or working with a client, whether it's a start to finish project or whether it's retainer, you want to gather as much information as you can and clearly communicate with the client so that the expectations are out on the table and you're not leaving anything to question, right? So that you can go into that project fully prepared to do the absolute best. And if you're in the midst of that project and you don't know, or you're not sure and you need clarification, don't hesitate to reach out to that client. I promise you the client will appreciate you asking for that clarification than waiting until the end and having to go back and correct it.
Yeah.
So I love your proactive thinking. Okay, Hope had a question. Do you have any couples that do the course together? And do you need to purchase the course twice? Great question, Hope. Okay, we do have a couples inside of our course, but here's how that works. Okay. We only give access to the community to one individual inside of that group. So when you purchase, you may be working on it together, which is absolutely fabulous. You can only have access for one of you inside of the group. Okay, so attending calls, of course, the spouse is more than welcome to come alongside you and sit and participate and ask questions, but do know that you only get access for one of you inside of the community. I know that we have a couple couples. I also know that we have a couple mom-daughter teams that have come through the Savvy system and are doing extremely well inside of their business. So great question. I'm going to scroll through here and you can look too if you see any questions.
Yeah.
Yes, Jennifer, there absolutely will be a replay. It will be available after. You can catch us and
you really want to see all this again?
I was trying to think of something to say. I couldn't think of it. He said it.
There you go. No,
So
it'll be
fine.
up there.
As I'm scrolling, Joe, what was something that you wished you would have known before I started the Savvy system?
Let's see. Every anxiety that I had beforehand was just cranked to 11, and they were really all like 5s. I just put in way too much or thought too much about it, And because, like I said earlier, you grow as it grows. Like you're probably not going to get $1 million in your first year. You're going to grow over time, and you're going to figure it out. So I'm the guy we talked about. I go to step 58 first sometimes, and you can't do that. You got to be like, all right, I'm here and I want to get there. Let's set up a path that gets me where I want to go. And then really clearly identifying what success looked like. For us, success was being able to check those things off the boxes, to be able to check that. I think it also goes to that question that we were talking about earlier, is that you got to define what success looks like. What does success look like for you within your business? What does success look like to the client? Can they articulate that so you know what you're trying to achieve? All of those things, because you want to get better over time. You want to continue to grow and do better.
Yeah, that's good. I think what I wish I would have known is that I could have done it sooner. Like I know that looking back retrospectively, like looking at the different jobs, even the grading the SAT essays, like that played a part in me editing and reviewing emails. Team, you know what that means, or looking through a course that my client was building, like that editing skill came into play. I also was a contractor when I was working with little children. And so kind of having that understanding of what it means to be a contractor, self-employed. So all of those experiences kind of fit together and helped me get to that spot. But I do wish that I would have found it sooner, because I wonder what success would have looked at. But I love my story, and I love when it fit in to our journey and how it's fit into our journey. And I would never change it for anything. Okay. Lonnie asks a great question. She's an instructional assistant, and I am wondering what gave you the confidence you needed to start your VA business. Girl, I had very little confidence. Like one of my biggest fears was that I was going to fail and that I wasn't going to be able to do it. What pushed me to say yes was that feeling that I want to do this. I want to make this happen. I don't know if I can. I'm freaking scared that I'm not going to be able to, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to make this a reality. So that was what pushed me over the edge to say yes, besides the 30-day money back guarantee and the payment plan. Those were big pushes too, for the stage of life that we were in. Joe Sanders says, I'm trying to convince my mom to join. I think that she would thrive in there. Joe, tell your mom too, like we have some amazing moms and grandmas inside of the Savvy System that are absolutely rocking it. In fact, tomorrow at noon, we have a live where we're going to be interviewing some of our successful Savvy System students. And one of the lovely ladies that is going to be joining us is over 50, and she is absolutely thriving inside of her business and doing amazing things after a full-time career, and had to leave that aside. And it's so cool to hear her story. So there are more of individuals and ladies like your lovely mom that she could totally connect with.
She wants to do it. She'll do it.
Yes.
That's how moms are. If they want to do it, they're going to do it.
I don't know if I'm supposed to put this up here, but I'm going to.
Oh, Rob, trying to make me blush.
Hey, Rob, good to see you, my friend. Any other questions? I was scrolling through. I didn't see any other questions. Okay, let me ask you this while I continue to scroll. If you were speaking to somebody who has an unsupportive spouse, friend, partner, all of the things, what number one tip would you give them in having those conversations?
Yeah. So, talk about it, have the conversation about it, figure out where they're at on the spectrum between they don't understand or they don't know how it all works. They're going to have some clarifying questions. And at the end of the day, sometimes you just gotta be able to look them in the eye and say, I want to do this and I want you on my team. I really want that more than anything, and give them the opportunity to kind of show their support in that way. Maybe they don't understand it. Maybe they'll never understand it. Maybe they don't kind of get all that falls together, but just like, hey, I don't want to be fighting with you about this. This is something I really want to do. Can you support me in that? And
I want to circle back to what you said earlier. If your partner or spouse is not on board and you are completely for it and they are completely against it, it may not be the best choice for you at this time. And that's okay. It's okay. We're still here. We're still here to support you. We have some amazing trainings and things like that, but don't cause contention for the sake of success, because in the end, is it really success? Right. So definitely have those conversations. I think for me, when we were having those conversations, the biggest thing that I wanted was him to just say, okay, I support you. Do it. Right. But before we got there, he had questions.
I said, you got to figure it out. Like you want to invest. I'm all about the investment, but investment has an anticipation of return. So what does that look like? How do we kind of put that together? Okay, there's a goal, we can work towards it. And then, is it going to be happy? Do you really want to do this? Because these other things that you've done, they didn't really work out. What's going to be different about this? And I think, to put it in a sentence, the difference was it was you doing it. Like you were going to do it. You weren't trying to work somebody else's thing. You were going to figure out how to make your own thing and put it all together. I thought that was really empowering. Because I can believe in you. I can believe in what it is that you're trying to do, as opposed to this abstract idea that may be going on somewhere else. So you've got to be a little persuasive. You've got to be able to genuinely ask them why or why not, and be willing to hear their answer.
Oh, that's not always fun, though.
No, it isn't fun.
I hate those conversations.
It's not fun, but that's what you need. Like, you've got to take the emotions out of it a little bit and be like, what have I done that makes you think I won't do this well? Maybe that's the question you need to have. Or what is it that's so scary about me trying this out? Is it about the time? Is it about money? Is it about you don't believe in me because of X, Y, and Z? But be willing to have that conversation. And whatever you do in that, I can't see anything bad coming out of that. At least now you've kind of aired out the sheets and it's on the table and we got to deal with it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Good.
Not a fun conversation, but a conversation that might need to be had.
Yeah, we call those fierce conversations, right? They're not fun to have, but they're needed, right? One more question.
Okay.
One more question.
It's a serious one.
It's a serious one, y'all. Hold on. Let's talk through this. Let's work through this. What would you say is the typical? That is, I believe that would be the key word here.
Typical.
What is the typical VA wardrobe?
See, it's really hard to put it into one wardrobe, because some days it's Walmart and some days it's Target. If everybody kind of gets that. Oh, you can't? Oh, it's I'm going to this place or I'm going to that place, if you know what I mean. It's like, you never know what's going to happen. When you're live, it's all on. But whenever you're just hard at work on the computer, it's leggings. Let's just be honest.
There have been times that Joe came home from work and he's like, did you go live today? And there have been times where I could honestly say, no, I just decided to actually put myself together sometimes. But
I would call it like the VA mullet. Like, it's business from the waist up and then it's leggings on the bottom.
Hey, you know what? The VA wardrobe is all about comfort.
There we go.
It's all about comfort. And you can still show up to those Zoom calls and those conversations and still be professional looking, but still be extremely comfortable. Extremely comfortable. Matt,
question.
oh, my brother-in-law's on. Hey, dude. How long until the husband can quit working? That would be a question for my current employer.
I couldn't quit. Like, I have to have something to do. I have to. Like, if I had little stress in my life, I would just implode. I need more stress, more things happening, more information. So I could figure it out, but I don't know. I don't think I could. Even if I could, I couldn't.
Becky says later on, we'll wrap this up, y'all. We're starting to get a little, questionable. You can zoom in your boxers, but those videos, you've seen those videos online where something goes terribly awry and you have to get up.
You can just push everything to Slack. Because Slack is just text and voice, right?
Yeah. No.
You don't have to use that option if you don't want to.
Y'all, this has been so much fun. I hope that you've had a great time hanging out with Joe and myself. Don't forget, SavvySystem is open until Friday. This Friday at 10 p.m. Central. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to hello@thevirtualsavvy.com. We are here to help you to walk through maybe those objections that you're having, those concerns that you have. We want to help you decide if SavvySystem is the right fit for you. And if it's not the right fit for you, we do open again in July of 2022. Y'all are absolutely amazing and fabulous. Don't give up. Keep pursuing those dreams, and we will see you later.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, babe. See you later.